It got me in trouble a lot of times, but I tried to say that anyway.
But you're going to get in less trouble. But the fact is, you could offer some perspective. If you could press a magic button and change some things at the FCC, so it does a better job. I mean, let's face it, you've taken some shots by the Democrats in Congress recently, even by your colleague commissioners, for they view your lack of consensus building, collegiality, whatever it is. And it could be argued that it's the structure of the commission itself that almost requires that type of decision making.
Well, I think that certainly the structure of the commission is you've got it's a bipartisan commission with Democrats and Republicans that they're going to end up being divided on at times on issues, and you've also got a situation in which if you're trying to find compromise in the middle, what frequently ended up happening is, and I did, on controversial and contentious issues, I voted as often with the two Democrats as the two Republicans, but that doesn't. But what ends up happening is, as I said before, I think that is trying to end up build consensus, trying to drive policy towards the middle. But that doesn't mean you get 5-0 votes all the time on everything. But you try to. But you know, I guess I think that the commission has been very fortunate, and that as an institution, we do have the capability to try to deal with these changes and convergence that are occurring in the industry, and despite the kind of structural limitations. I mean, the Commission has taken steps, and I think we need to continue to move things away from regulating the kind of a platform, so that we used to have just a telephone bureau and then a wireless bureau, and we've been trying to put them more into functions. So that when Bill Kennard was there, he started an enforcement bureau. It took the enforcement functions out of the different platform regulations and put them in one area. Now put in a public safety bureau so that they handle all of the public safety issues, whether it's a telephone, wireline public safety issue or a wireless public safety issue. And I think that kind of structural reform is helpful, and it would be as well when you talk about the Telecommunications Act. I mean, an act that actually didn't look at each platform as a silo, but rather looked at the services that were being provided and what were the minimum consumer protections that were needed on each service. Now, I think that for the structure of the commission in the old way, and for the structure of the act, the commission has done a very good job of trying to still achieve kind of a regulatory level playing field among those platforms. And I think that that's been critical. So I think you're right, it's a challenge with the way the agency is structured and the way that the act is structured. But I think that we've been able to fortunately still been able to try to achieve that by being flexible in our approach, and by actually trying to look at how can we have a level playing field by what are we going to do about making sure that when we talk about cable companies having internet access and wireless companies and wireline companies, how do we make sure that they're not treated separately from a regulatory standpoint? And we put all of those in the same regulatory framework, the same Title I Information Service framework. And one of the reasons why that was so critical is so we could treat them the same when they're out there competing. So on the one hand, I think you're right, it's a challenge, but on the other, I think we've been very fortunate that we've found creative ways to try to address that.